Hey guys, my name's Bridget and I am a film major. And this year I challenged myself to watch all 9 of the Best Picture nominees for the Oscars. Now that I have completed that challenge as of yesterday, I'm going to be ranking all of these films. So let's get started so that we can talk about all 9 of them. These are all my personal opinions, and then at the end I will talk about who I think are the best choices for the Best Picture winner and who I predict is going to win. Because I don't think it's going to be my number 1, even though I love it so much. Number 9, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This film was just kind of weird for me. It follows 2 actors in their declining careers, played by Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. They do a fantastic job in this. They look pretty similar, so like good casting choices. I just felt like the last third of the movie tonally shifted very differently from the first 2/3 of the film, and that felt very strange to me. I wasn't really a fan, and I'm not saying the movie was bad, I just didn't personally enjoy it that much. I think that's a good chance because it's about Hollywood, but that's kind of self-centered of Hollywood people to pick a movie about Hollywood, so that's why I don't think they're going to choose it. But yeah, that's the tea. I thought it was good, and I thought it was a good example of like good filmmaking, but I wasn't blown away by it as everyone seemed to be. Number 8, Marriage Story. The last 10 minutes I sobbed like a baby. I had even paused it because my friend walked in and we talked for a bit, and then I went back and continued to watch it. Wow, my emotions. The only happy part of this movie is like the first 2 minutes, and then after that it's just all sad. While that can be a good thing, it made me feel a lot of emotions. I just wanted to feel a bit more positive emotions, and a lot of it was just me being like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, after each thing that happened. I did enjoy the fact that it showed both sides of this divorce happening. I thought that was really good. I felt like I was on the side of both of them, so it wasn't really leaning towards one person where I was adamantly like, oh, they deserve this, like I'm really rooting for them. I was really rooting for both of them because of how the story is told, and I think that is done really well. That's why I think it was really phenomenal. However, compared to all the other ones, I wasn't as much of a fan. I think it was the happy thing that I just wanted a bit more of a happiness watching the film. So it unfortunately ended up at the bottom of the list. Not nearly the bottom, but close there. Number 7 was The Irishman. First things first, we gotta deal with the length. It's 3.5 hours long. It is so long. And yes, I agree that a lot of the things that they set up in the beginning do pay off really well in like the last 30 minutes. Last 30 minutes, I would not change a thing. It was beautiful. And I understand he's trying to tell the life story of this guy, and like they did a fantastic job. The effects for that were amazing. It was hard to tell that like it was even effects. I just thought that was his face, though I knew it wasn't logically. However, the beginning 2 hours drag on for so long. Like if you cut that in half, I would have been fine. Like the last 30 minutes, solid. Maybe the last hour and 30 minutes, like I could do with that. But the first 2 hours, man, I was on the treadmill for the first hour. I was just like, where, like this film is not going anywhere. I just feel like they could have condensed it a lot better. So while I agree there was a lot of payoff from the ending, I don't think it was worth all 3 hours that came before that final 30 minutes. Number 6, Joker. I know, kind of tea. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was phenomenal. It was like a great character study into the Joker, his mind, and like the slow mental deterioration that he goes through. Joaquin Phoenix does a fantastic job playing this character. It is so incredibly sad to see this happen to him, but also like understanding the story behind it, I thought it did a great job. It was really different from most origin stories. It was just very human, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. While I do love superheroes and like supervillains and everything, I thought this was a great way to go about approaching this character. I thought it was a really fantastic job. It's really dark and everything, and I loved it a lot. That's why I'm so surprised it's number 6 on this list of 9 movies. I really thought it would be higher, but just the other films were so good that this is the highest it's gonna get. I just thought this film was phenomenal, but ultimately it falls short of the other films in aesthetic qualities and just everything else that I loved about the other films. Now, moving on to number 5, 1917. Wow, this film was phenomenal. My friend has a clicker that she clicks every time something she smiles or laughs at or thinks happy thought, and she was with me at the movies. About I want to say 10 minutes, 20 minutes in the movie, I was like, oh, I've heard this is one shot. It doesn't look like they've cut yet. Or it looks like there've been 2 cuts. And my very adamantly staring at, I'm like, oh, there's only been 2 cuts. What the heck? So I asked her to borrow her clicker. I counted a total of 11 shots. I want to say either 7 or 11 shots. Something like that. I counted so few shots. And I know logically where they cut, but it's just so well done that you can't tell that they cut at all. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing just seeing this happen. I haven't personally seen something like that before. I know things like that exist, so it's not like new, but like it kind of is new in the sense that not that many people have tried to do it, and it's just so well done and so well pieced together that you can't see any of the flaws. I can't imagine how long it would have taken. It's almost like a play just on screen. It was fantastic, and just following these characters and like the main character on his journey was amazing. I can't believe he wasn't nominated for Best Actor because honestly he did a fantastic job. He really deserves it because he was the star of that movie. It was as if I was watching him on stage. He did not leave for one shot because it was one shot film following his journey, and it was just so beautifully done that I was just mind blown and like, wow, fantastic. I will say for the negatives, it was a bit slow at parts, but that has to do with the fact that it is all seamlessly apparently one shot, even though obviously it isn't, but that effect of just following him, so there are going to be dull moments. So I understand that, but it happens, you know? That was just the only kind of negative thing, but I wouldn't even really consider it negative because we really experienced it as if we were there. Also, I appreciated the fact that it was from 1917. It was from World War I instead of World War II. I know we get so many films about World War II, and while I think they're great, I do think it was refreshing to see something happen in World War I because honestly, it's kind of like World War I is forgotten in the film industry solely because there's barely any movies I can think of that have to do with it. Like, they all have to do with World War II, which I'm not knocking that. Like, World War II is very important and everything in our history. It's just good to see a different perspective. Number 4, Ford vs. Ferrari. I didn't think this movie would be this high on the list until I actually like thought about the movies I saw, and I was like, this film was so good. Saw it right after I saw 1917, so immediately within like the first 5 minutes, I was like, whoa, shift of attention, because this film cut, and it was just so much more fast paced. And it was phenomenal. I read a thing online that said the Le Mans race scene was 30 minutes of screen time. It did not feel like that at all. At no point did I think, oh, this is dragging. How long is this going on for? I was in it the whole time. I was like, oh my God, I was on the edge of my seat for like 90% of this movie. I was like, what's gonna happen next? Oh my God. And I was so stressed out. Like, wow, this film really gripped me. It made me feel for the characters. I was invested in their lives and like these relationships that they were building. It did such a good job of showing that. And as a person who isn't a fan of racing, I was invested in racing, which I think was a feat in itself. Wow, I was so invested in this whole thing, and I didn't think I was going to be. I was like, oh, it's a movie about cars, like sure, but it really just gets you in it. This movie did a great job of telling its story. I think it was phenomenal. I think it was just great, and I was blown away. I did not have that high expectations, and it blew those all away. Number 3 is Parasite. My friend Molly from Magical Molly said I would love this movie immediately after she saw it, and unfortunately I hadn't been able to watch it for several months, but then it came out on demand / Apple or whatever. I could rent it online is basically what I'm saying. Wow, this film takes you for a ride. I don't usually watch foreign films. I know I'm a terrible person. I should. It's also because I like to watch the visual picture, and it's a bit harder to do that with subtitles. I'm tempted to watch this film again just to watch the film and not have the subtitles on, to just be able to admire the cinematic beauty of it, because it was very beautiful. After a bit, you forgot that there were subtitles, and then you like kind of glance away and be like, wait, I don't understand what they're saying. This was just such a smart screenplay. The director / writer, he's so smart with how he constructed that screenplay, of the different methods that the people used to continually overcome their obstacles. I was astounded each time. Each time it seemed very clever, it seemed very purposeful, it seemed like they were making choices that like were logical to make, but they were also very smart. In my screenwriting class, we talked about how your character needs to be smart and to make smart decisions so that the audience doesn't immediately know what's going to happen next. This film really did a great job of that. Just every step of the way, I was like, wow, they're intelligent. Like, they are doing all of this stuff, and I cannot believe it. It was just very impressive in my brain. It's strange because you weren't really rooting for anyone. Like, there is that family that's at the center of the story, but they're also kind of terrible people, so you're not really rooting for them, but like in a way you are. So there's like that disparity, and then there's also the wealth disparity that you get to see throughout the film, of like the rich and the poor and how they see things differently. Like with the rainfall, the poor family, their house was destroyed because of it. And then the rich, they're like, oh great, we're getting some rain today. That's awesome. I thought that was phenomenally done. I was astounded at how well it showed that disparity, the class disparity. And the twist that happens in the middle blew me away. I was not expecting that at all. They set it up really well with the hints from before. I totally understood where it came from, because there were a lot of things that like they solved by adding that twist, and I was like, oh my god, what the heck? I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it's phenomenal. This film is amazing. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you watch it. It's in my top 3, so you know it's one of my favorites. It's just so well done, and like cinematography is beautiful. The characters were so good. I thought it did a great job. Number 2 is Little Women. I love Little Women. I know many people have hated my video about Little Women. I apologize if you have different opinions from me. I didn't like Amy is what we're getting to, but we don't need to talk about that right now. What we're talking about is how amazing the film Little Women was. I have not read Little Women yet. Molly bought me a copy for my birthday, which was super sweet, and I'm so excited to read it because I'm so invested in the story now. But it was phenomenal. It showed their struggles. I really connected to Jo. I thought she was a phenomenal character. Saoirse Ronan does a fantastic job of playing Jo, and Florence Pugh does a fantastic job of playing Amy. As much as I didn't like Amy, I really thought her character was really well done. I thought the speech in the art room was really well done. I thought you really understood their motivations. It was just really fantastic, and it was very cinematic as well. There's a shot of Beth playing the piano, and then it backs up, and you get to see Laurie's father sitting on the steps as he listens to her because no one has played since his daughter died. I think it was his daughter or his wife. It was just so meaningful, and it was very powerful to watch. I cried for like the last half hour of the movie, I want to say. Like, I was just in tears. It brought all this emotion out of me. As a woman, I was like, wow, this is so powerful to just kind of see the daily lives of these women. And the time shifts were kind of confusing because I didn't really know their ages. So like, that's kind of a negative. However, I thought it was really fantastic. It blew my mind. I knew I was gonna like it, but I just loved it with my whole heart. The power behind Jo saying that women have minds and bodies of their own and they need to tell their stories even if other people don't think they're gonna be interesting. Wow. So powerful. I really wish Greta Gerwig was nominated for director for this because she did such a fantastic job with this film. It really brought heart to the family. You could see the connections between them, and I just thought it was really fantastically done, and I just loved it, and I wish it had more nominations because it really deserved all the love. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you check it out because it is amazing. It is heartwarming. You will have all of the emotions in it. And number 1, my favorite film out of all 9 of the Oscar-nominated picks is Jojo Rabbit. It's directed by Taika Waititi. I love Taika Waititi. If you haven't watched his other work, I highly recommend you check it out because he is fantastic. He is one of my favorite directors of all time. Jojo Rabbit was my favorite film of 2019, so I'm sure it is no surprise that this is my favorite of all 9 of the nominated films. I saw this movie 3 times in theaters. I was dedicated. I saw it the first time with some friends, and I saw it with my parents, and I saw it with another friend because she said she hadn't seen it. And I was like, we gotta go. I mean, you gotta see it. It's amazing. This film, it offers so much. It's a satire about World War II, which I know we already said there's a lot of films about World War II, but this one was different. I swear. It's about this little boy named Jojo and how he is a Nazi and he loves being a Nazi, and he has this imaginary friend who's Hitler, played by Taika Waititi, who, wow, comedic genius. Goes through his life and he meets this Jewish girl and he kind of realizes that what he's thinking is wrong, and his relationship with her flourishes. It's just so heartwarming to see. It happens in the last year of World War II. The way that's depicted through the eyes of the children, because you never really see children in films about World War II. You usually see soldiers fighting on the front lines. This was a great way to show a different side of the story because all these children were involved and yet we didn't see them. To show what life was like in Germany in that time was fantastic. The different things that continued throughout the film were amazing. I don't want to spoil anything. Scarlett Johansson did a fantastic job as his mother in this film. It does a fantastic job of using tonal shifts and keeping the same ideas running throughout. And what I mean by that is at the beginning it's just really light and funny and you're having a great time, and then it like shifts slightly darker to deal with more serious topics and like you cry a little bit. At least I cried several times throughout this film, and then it kind of lightens it up immediately after the dark moment. So there's like this give and take of like the dark and the light. I was crying and then I was laughing a few minutes later. That turnaround was amazing for me. I think I was still kind of crying because of what happened. There was this shift that goes through the film and it's really difficult to deal with. It's going from like lighthearted to dark and like back and forth, and to kind of intermix those is really difficult because you don't want to lose that comedic element because it's a satire, so you don't want to lose that completely. But they take that and like deal with these dark themes and you feel for Jojo. Roman Griffin Davis does a fantastic job as Jojo. He is phenomenal. I don't remember the girl who plays Elsa, but she also is phenomenal. Taika Waititi is phenomenal. All the people who are in it were phenomenal. The one minor thing I would say is, my friend pointed this out when I saw it the third time. The house, there's like this hutch for like where she goes in and hides as a Jewish person. She has to hide in the walls. There's a hutch, but then there's a window above that door. And so that means the house would have to go out like this, which is kind of strange looking for a house. Yeah, it was just kind of strange looking. I didn't think about it at all before that. But it was just so heartwarming, and like the comedy element, I am a sucker for comedies. I love comedies with my whole heart. And this was just a very cleverly done comedy. It had that comedic element, but it also had that drama in it. It's a very hard thing to do. And I think Taika Waititi did a phenomenal job with the screenplay and with directing it and with acting in it. I wish this wouldn't win the Best Picture Oscar, but I don't think it will. It's not serious enough, I don't think, for the Oscars. If it wins, I will die. I will be so happy. I remember going to see it the first time, and it was just kind of like this small film and no one really knew about it. And like now it's nominated for an Oscar, and I'm so proud. So now we're talking about who I think is gonna win the Best Picture Oscar. This is a hard thing to decide. Okay, in my personal opinion, my top 3 to win, I'll go 3-1. 3, I think The Irishman. It seems like a very Oscars choice. Even though it's phenomenally long, it did do a fantastic job of telling the story of these people throughout their lives. So I think it does deserve some credit for that. And I think it is a good candidate for this award. Parasite, phenomenally done. It's so smart with everything it does. It blows your mind. Wow. The only reason I think it might not be chosen is because it's already nominated for the Best Foreign Film category, and like it winning both. I mean, it shows it's a really good film, but I don't know. They might not choose it for that reason, question mark, I don't know. And my number 1 to win is 1917. It won at the Golden Globe, so I think that's a good indicator of what's gonna win. It's just phenomenally cinematic, and I think people would appreciate that. It's about a different time in history, so it's got that going for it. The acting in it is phenomenal, and I think really the directing of that one-shot-esque cinema is really well done, and I think he deserves credit for that. It's a really cinematic picture, so that's why I think it's a good choice. Overall, I think all of the nominees are fantastic. I think all of the films were really well done. I liked some more than others, as we can see from this list right here. Let me know down in the comments what your ranking would be for all of them. If you've seen all of them, if you haven't seen all of them, rank the ones you've seen. Let me know what you think of my ranking. If you agree, disagree, please give this video a big thumbs up if you are excited for the Oscars. I know I will be watching every minute of it tonight. I am so excited to see who wins and loses and everything like that. They all made phenomenal films that deserve to be nominated for Oscars, so I can't wait to see how it all turns out. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more content like this talking about films. I really enjoy talking about films a lot. I might make a whole video talking about Jojo Rabbit. Please let me know if you'd be interested in seeing that, because I think it's a fantastic movie and it deserves all of the videos about it, and I love analyzing and breaking down films. It would have spoilers, so I'd be discussing it throughout the film. Thanks so much for watching. Please enjoy the Oscars tonight, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be up very soon, so see you guys then, okay? Bye!